I just looked it up and my son was 10. Dad, do you think we should leave? Parent of the year. All right. Anyway, so we've got our JSON file set up. Now, if you're like me, to this point, you're probably going, okay, this all makes sense. Not bad at all. We're going to move into the part that's going to start to work our brains over a little bit more. Okay? So I've got here a list of bands, but in order to organize this better, I can create what a band is, right? These different elements. And so I'm going to do a few things here. One is I'm going to pull this JSON that I've just created. I'm going to pull it out to the class level, right? To that main TSX level. And so this const now belongs to everything in here. All the different functions can see this band name, which is going to help us. All right, and when we get to the point where we use a JSON file, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be importing it into this TSX file. So I'm going to pull those bands out, which means it can still be seen here. But then what I'm going to do is, I do want to have a list of bands, but what I want to do is create an individual band. What does an individual band object look like? Right now I'm just printing out the name. I want to print out all the information. And so I'm going to create another function, and I'm going to refer to this as an individual band. So this is a band. All right, so I've got this band, and what is each band going to look like? Well, I'm going to organize it in a way, so I need to have a return function. Okay, so opening, closing parenthesis, semicolon there, and then I know I'm going to need a fragment here. So I'm going to create a React fragment, and between that React fragment, I'm just going to build what a little band object looks like. And I'm picturing in my head you could have like a little image, and so I'll even drop a tag in here even though we don't have any images. Maybe we'll get time to do that. An image, and then have the band name. So I'm going to use it in this case an H2 tag and say the name, and for now I'll just type in the information that I want there, and then we'll go fill it in a minute. And then below that I'll do an H3 tag, so it's a little smaller, and I'll say the original members, and then another H3 tag that has when they were formed. All right, so those are the three pieces of information that make up a band, and then now I can go in and grab the information for one of these rows, drop it in here, and then that's what's going to constitute my band list here in a minute. So I'll get rid of the code that's in there for now, and we want to start dropping in the individual band information, and then what we're going to print out here is just one band list in the end. So do you get what I'm saying here? We're going to take the information for one band and build it to what it's going to look like, and then eventually we're going to, it's not this, but think about it this way. We're going to create a little loop that goes through each entry and just populates this information as it loops through, and that information, the loop, so to speak, is going to be in this band list that's going to go get a band, get a band, get a band. By grabbing one of the objects and passing it to the band, it'll go form that information that we want and then print it out here in our band list. So that's the ultimate goal of what we're doing. Let's see if we can make it happen. So just to show you how this might work, for an individual band, I could come in here and create a const called a single band. This is for a single band. This isn't the whole list, this is just a single band. And I want it to be equal to band names element 0. All right, so I'm setting a single band here, and then with this string interpolation, I could print out the name of the band. I'm actually not going to print the word name, but I'll go to the single band element and grab the name as the first thing that I'm going to print out. Okay, And then I will print out the word original members, and then I'll drop in there single band, and then get the members. Okay, and then for the formed, I'll print out single band, and then the formed part of it. Okay, so for a single band, now I'm setting it specifically to element 0, which we won't do later on, but I'm just trying to demonstrate how this might work. So I go grab the first entry in our JSON file, and I'm going to go print out that information for that. And then in the band list, I can just drop in here and say this is a specific band. All right, do we feel good about that? So I'm going to save this and go to our running app, and it will say the welcome, right? So we've got our welcome, and then it calls the band list tag. The band list is going to go get an individual band, and in this case, the band is set to 0. It goes and grabs that first entry, and likewise, obviously, I could change this to a 1, save it, and then it's going to print out the information for REM instead. All right, we following so far? All right, because it's going to get a little more complicated in a second. So we've got the information for the single band, and now we can go pull that information using the band list element, go grab an individual band, and obviously, if you picture what would happen, I could go 0, 1, 2, and I can do that using this band tag. But how do I identify from the band list which one it is that I want to pull? And that's going to be our challenge to try and solve now. And especially considering that if I have a list of 50 bands that are underrated, then I don't want to go in every time and say, you know, element 40, element 41, and then if it moves to 60, I don't want to go redo all my code. I want it to all happen automatically based on this list. All right, so hang with me on this part. So eventually I'm going to want to have multiple bands here, right? And I want this one to be the 0, this one to be the 1, this one to be the 2. I want to print out multiple bands. The band list function has to be able to tell the band which one do I want to print out from the list. And so I'm going to modify this band function to have information passed into it, properties passed into it. And the properties that it's going to have just so happen to be these same things: name, members, formed. So I'm going to type in here that this is going to receive, and I'll put it in braces, name, members, and formed. That's what's going to come into me. Okay? And then the way that it works is I have to define what type of information that is because we're using TypeScript. Then I'm going to say name is a, and by the way, that's a colon and then a new set of braces. I'm going to say name is a string, semicolon. Members is also a string, and formed is a number. I made some mistake here. Members, colon, string. Formed is a number. All right, so this is the information that's being passed in, and it's saying it's defined but never used, which is okay. We're going to use it in a second. And then what's happening is instead of me saying single band name, I'm going to use instead the name that was passed in, the members that was passed in, and the formed that was passed in. So instead of me going and getting a single band here, I'm going to allow the band list to tell us which element that we're on and pass me this information so that I can go return the information in the appropriate format for what a band looks like. All right, does that make sense? So we've got here again the variables that need to be passed in, and the way TypeScript is, it wants it to have defined what those information, what each piece of information, what type of variable it is. All right. Hopefully you're following along okay. Let's continue on in the next video. Spencer, out.